Welcome to Chat, Communications Happenings and Trends. And so today I wanted to discuss with you an article that I came across that was released in Forbes about 10 days ago that didn't really receive a lot of press attention, but very well should have. And it is titled Department of Homeland Security Compiling Database of Journalists and Media Influencers. And once I've read through the article, I find out what they meant by media influencers, I guess to some extent, were bloggers, podcasters, and the like, as well as traditional media journalists and sources like this. And what they plan on compiling is a list of publications that may be out there by these media influencers, as well as track sentiment, which is a very ambiguous term that I am not very clear as to what they mean by that. And so this could be problematic because, one, we don't know what they mean by sentiment. It could be that because it is the Department of Homeland Security, they are monitoring terrorist sources and terrorism. Well, terrorism as it is currently defined isn't very well defined, and it's subject to change at any moment. And so maybe if you criticize the government, you are suddenly now viewed as a terrorist source or potentially riling terrorist sentiment. So that having said that, people are concerned, media sources are concerned, people that are responsible, or I guess watchdog agencies are concerned, and one of which was Freedom House that has stated that currently we are at a 13-year low globally regarding press freedoms, and this has happened in both non-democratic and democratic countries. Let me see if I can just figure out where I put what they said, because of course I lost it. Okay, so here it is. So here was what they said regarding, I guess, the United States. It is the far-reaching attacks on the news media and their place in a democratic society by Donald Trump, first as candidate and now as president of the United States, that fuel predictions of further setbacks in the years to come. So that is complete makes a lot of sense. Donald Trump was as a candidate, I guess the purveyor of calling out fake news, which tended not to be such fake news depending on who you. I mean, it did call some question into, I guess, sow a little bit more distrust with mainstream media sources, although they may not have helped themselves all that much either. Having said all that, yes, we need to be concerned. I think that the fact that they can just easily identify anybody who's a media influencer as, I don't know, just some random kid with a YouTube channel that one day criticizes the government, well, they're a media influencer now, and are they a terrorist? Potentially. So yeah, this has a lot of implications. So when asked about this, the Department of Homeland Security did release a statement via Twitter. And I am going to read that to you because I think that I find that actually this response very interesting. So the response is by Tyler Holton, which is spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security. And they say, despite what some reporters may suggest, this is nothing more than a standard practice of monitoring current events in the media. Any suggestion otherwise is fit for tinfoil hat wearing black helicopter conspiracy theorists. So that is interesting to say, but I want to point out some problems that I have with their response. The major one being, I guess one of the biggest one, is that this is such a gaslighting statement. This is the most gaslighting statement I've ever seen any agency put out to the public, because it's basically saying that, oh yeah, anytime that you find any problems with press freedoms that we will keep inching and encroaching upon, you are crazy, and it's questioning your sanity. And this is what people do in abusive relationships. Your government is the abuser. There is no doubt about that based off of this fucking statement alone, because they are gaslighting with this, and that is so inappropriate. What they are trying to do here is say that what they do, regardless of how acceptable it is, regardless of how much it does encroach upon our First Amendment rights, we have the right to have our press free. And we have the right of freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and inch by inch by inch, they keep taking that away. But you're just crazy. You're just thinking this. It has nothing to do with us and everything to do with you because you're fucking paranoid. And that is terrible. That is what abusive people do. This is what abusive people do. This is, I mean, I'm so angry by this. This is insane. And if there's anything that you can... Okay, so let me back up and just say, one of the first things that authoritarian governments that are coming into power, that are coming into their own, one of the first things that they do is restrict press freedoms, because they don't want to be monitored. They don't want the people to know any type of corruption that's going on in the background or anything like this. And the fact that I don't hear any of our politicians calling this out is further evidence to me supporting that, yes, they will be corrupt, and yes, they do not want you to know it. They want to make sure that you have absolutely no freedoms to call them out on their poor behavior. So one thing is that if you are trying to do the whole resist thing, this is the thing you need to be resisting. This. Because this is arguably one of the most important things that we have in a democracy, is to be able to hold our government accountable. If that is gone, you will not be privy to what your government is doing, and they cannot be held to account. And therefore, it is no longer run by you. So I would recommend that this would be top priority for you to resist about. Trump aside, this is authoritarian in nature, and this needs to be called out, called to attention, contact your Congress member, whatever you have to do, but this needs to be your focus, because we cannot allow this to continue. We need our press freedoms, regardless of who you agree with. If you think it's liberal media, conservative media, independent media, it does not matter. They need to exist. And the fact that this is just a mechanism by which to assure that journalists no longer hold the government accountable means that all those media sources are going to be further biased. They're not, I mean, people are concerned about big government. They're concerned about their weapons getting taken away from them by the big government. Well, what are you fighting for? What's the point of stockpiling your goddamn weapons if you don't know how corrupt your government is being and you don't protect these rights? What are you fighting? What do we stand for as a democracy if we cannot call out our government for their corruption? There's nothing. Then you stand for nothing. This is the most anti-American thing you can do. Our founding fathers put this in because they did not want to see the press freedoms restricted, because they knew that this needed to be done. They knew that the government needed to be held accountable because it could run amok very easily. They envisioned it, and it's happening right now. And all you're doing is, I'm comfortable, so it's okay. Or this makes me safer. No, it doesn't. It makes your government more corrupt. It has nothing to do with safety at all. All right, I'm done. So yeah, this is what you should be fucking resisting right now.
You are just listening to another segment from Actify Chat. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Also, we want to continue to bring you more content and need your help, so why not jump on over to our Patreon and support us? The link is www.patreon.com/ActifyChat, or can be found in the description below. Thank you so much for listening.